Max, you mentioned it. It's the craze that's sweeping the nation.
Just jumping right in.
Yeah, I mean, we just did Taco Talk.
Oh, okay.
What do you want to talk about instead?
No, that's fine. Let's go.
We got a great interview coming up with John Snelson at
Hee-haw.
Texas, and I want to make sure we have time for that.
That's fine.
So, Hipster Texas high school football games. There are the big games in the state. Lake Travis and Westlake, giant game. Liberty Hill, Waco, La Vega, giant game. What else? What am I missing? Laredo United South, giant game. Then these are the College Station A&M Consolidated, giant game. Then there are those games that are flying
right under the radar
that nobody's paying attention to, but we have the courage to pay attention to them. No other website ever pays attention to these games. I imagine that's true.
That might be true.
I don't know.
That's not verifiable.
I don't
by
read
any
a lot
means.
of other websites.
Yeah.
Let's start down in 2A Division 1, out in the big country.
Yep.
Hawley.
Yep.
And Forsan, the two best teams, in my opinion, in 2A Division 1. And in 2A Division 1, if you start looking out west in Region 1, you're not coming up with a ton of world beaters, in my view. I don't think that there are those teams that really scare you out there in the same way that when we talk to Coach John Snelson, that Region 3 is terrifying. It's just relentless gauntlet. But if you start looking out there in Region 1 and Division 2, Post is good, Stratford is good, but then I think these two teams, Hawley and Forsan, are right there. And this is for seeding. Yeah. This is for seeding, and
this is that void that Canadian left behind.
And this is a very, very important game. Now, Post is going to be there for both these teams.
Right.
Post is going to be there, but I think that this is for seeding.
Yeah.
And this is if you can get that second seed instead of that third seed, or maybe one of these teams upends Post, I think that this is a huge game, and I'm very interested to see exactly how Forsan does in this one because they're coming off a great win over Wink. Last week they beat Wink. Their lone loss this year is to Reagan County, who's unbeaten. Another kind of surprising unbeaten team. And there's stars power here.
Yeah.
There's Quay Stokes over there on Hawley, who's been
Stokes is very good.
He's been on our Mr. Texas football ballot. It seems like every week because he puts up crazy numbers. And then Forsan's got a great running back in Terrell McVeigh. This should be a great matchup with heavy playoff implications as to how that thing shakes out. Because I think that District 4 is probably the deepest district.
Yeah.
Like Stratford's an elite team.
Right.
But the second best team there is probably Panhandle is 3-2, and then I think there's a little bit of a drop off. 4A or District 4, there's a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
So we're going to sort a lot of that out Friday night when Forsan plays Hawley. Down in the Coastal Bend, everyone pays attention to Refugio. Everybody pays attention to Cal Allen because Coach Danaher's after his record-breaking win. What about Bowling and Tidehaven? Battle of 4A.
Bowling. Friend of the program, Coach Dorr.
Yeah. Here's the other thing about Bowling that is decidedly the team that everyone forgets was super awesome last year.
I know.
Did they make it to a regional final last year? They made it to a regional a state quarterfinal last year. And everyone's just kind of sleeping on them, but this team is dangerous. They're back at their 4-1. They got a ton of experience back. Elijah Gooden and Cade Bickham. They run the ball really well. Tidehaven's going to win with defense. Their defense has been great. Chris Rodriguez, Martin Trevino lead a very talented front seven. The key for Tidehaven is that their offense has been a little bit up and down. Quarterback Bryce Galvin, a little bit up and down. Jeff Williams, the running back. Can they find the offensive consistency, or at least for the 48 minutes that they have to play Bowling, can they find this offensive consistency? Because, and again, and pardon me if I'm going to start breaking down kind of playoff matchups, but we're getting into that time of year where these games all really matter. And Bowling, I think, the winner of this game, look, East Bernard's in that district too, and East Bernard's really good. And in my opinion, Region 4 goes through East Bernard. But you start looking up and down, this could very well determine whether or not a team like Tidehaven gets in the playoffs. This could very well determine how things break down. I think there's a huge game down there in 14-3 AD2. In the DFW area, a game that I'm trying to convince you to go to.
Well, I can't. We've already been to this. I want to go to it, but someone has to cover the SMU game.
If you want to cover
Don't put this on me.
If you want to cover the SMU game for free, let me know. Battle of 5-0s. We've mentioned we mentioned in our yesterday in teams you can't believe are undefeated. Kemp in 6-3A Division 1. Two other unbeaten teams go at it, Sunnyvale and Dallas Madison. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Two tremendous offenses here. Sunnyvale's got Caleb McDill and Trey Sterling, of course, a wide receiver, Cash Goodhart. Madison's got a big offense with Travion Jackson, Antonio Gage. These are two big offenses that are going to get after it, and two defenses that I'm not sure they've been tested to the level that they're going to be tested this week. I think this game gets in the 40s, the 50s. I think this game's going to be wacky.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
Game for sure.
I'm really excited to see who comes out in this game at Dallas Madison, Sunnyvale at Dallas Madison, Friday night.
Yeah.
Then, staying in kind of the North Texas area, did you know Iowa Park's unbeaten?
I know. We were talking about this this morning. Me and Matt Stepper. I was like, wow, okay, all right.
Bowie Franks.
Yeah.
Bowie Franks doing work. He ran for 1,700 yards last year. They've got a great stable of running backs. Last week they beat Wall.
Yeah.
Now, that's a 4A over a 3A, and that's something
still,
worth remembering, but that's
good
still
team.
really impressive.
Yeah.
They're taking on Crum this week. They host Crum. Crum's off to a great start. Crum's one loss. Who did Crum lose to? I've got this. I swear I've got this.
Tradition unlike any other.
No, I'm
Greg
sorry.
looking things up on his computer during the show.
Guys,
instead of looking them up before the show.
Why would you? Their loss is to Sanger. To Sanger by 8 points out on the road.
Two very good teams.
Two very good teams. But for me, this game is gonna show us a lot about how that whole bracket is going to shake out in Region 1, because Sweetwater's going to be really good. Monahan's I still believe in. Midland Greenwood is unbeaten. But then these two teams are going to be fighting for that first and second seed, in my opinion. This is for the district championship. As far as I see it, this is for the District 3 4A Division 1 state district championship, rather. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Crum's got a great year, had a great year from Brandon Reeves and company. Their defense has been very solid. Coach Gary Robinson, a friend of the program. This should be a lot of fun. Very excited to see this. And I'll tell you, if Iowa Park wins this game, we may be talking to their coach on Monday. It's one of those things that at that point they're 7-0 and they're past their toughest game left on their schedule.
That's true.
They could have 10-0 right in their schedule. Then down in the San Antonio area, we talked about this last week. It was a spotlight game on Fixin' to Pick'em with San Antonio Churchill taking on San Antonio Reagan. And Churchill took their second loss of the year. They lose, but their defense has been largely good all year. Their defensive back, Luke Rosas. Their offense is going to keep it on the ground. Diego Vela and Jordan Billups missed the game last week, which I think had a big impact on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Are they back? We're going to find out. And they have better be back because they're taking on San Antonio Johnson, who I think is still remarkably, even though we talk about them a lot, I still think they're remarkably underrated. Ron Redmond's squad has been great. They got a big offensive line. They win the trenches, and then a kind of breakout athlete in Dylan Pouncey and a solid linebacking core led by Tanner Reed. This game... Look, this district's going to be wacky. This district's going to be is going to be a lot of fun to watch, see how it shakes out. And the thing is, you got to remember, I think that Churchill and Johnson are both going Division 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want one hook on it, this is, hey, get the top seed.
Right.
And what does that mean? That means probably ducking. Let's see, they played District 25. That means you're probably ducking Westlake in the first round.
Yeah.
If Westlake goes to Division 2. That means you're probably ducking Westlake in the first round. Now, you would get Vandergrift instead.
Right.
But if you win this game, you stay away from Westlake in our playoff projection.
Right.
You stay away from Westlake in the first round. There's a perfect example of a lot on the line in this game. Interested to see who comes out in Johnson and Churchill. Those are my Hipster Texas high school football picks. Which games do you think are flying under the radar? Let us know at DCTF. Use the hashtag DCTF Live.